Hi, Black Cat Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a mystery horror movie named Tin and Tina. After getting married, Adolfo and Lola get ready to leave the church. Lola fixes her artificial leg while Adolfo jokingly suggests names for their soon-to-be-born twins. She finds his ideas funny, but their happiness doesn't last long when people outside the church notice the bloodstain on Lola's dress. When Lola wakes up, she looks at a cross and then her husband and a doctor come into the room. They tell her the very sad news that they have lost their twins and that she won't be able to have children anymore. Half a year later, Lola still finds it difficult to cope with the loss, while Adolfo is extremely eager to assist her in her recovery. Lola proposes going back to her hometown as a possible solution, but her husband rejects the idea, firmly believing that their children would have a joyful upbringing in his own childhood residence. He brings up the option of adopting a child from a nearby convent, but Lola tearfully expresses her hesitancy. Even though Lola is uncertain, the couple finally arrives at the convent. While Abbess Asuncion talks about the adoption process, Lola wanders off to the sanctuary and is captivated by the beautiful sound of the organ. The abbess tells her that twins are the ones playing it and calls for the children. Just as Tin and Tina are introduced, lightning suddenly strikes, scaring them. They seek shelter next to Lola, believing it to be the anger of God. Adolfo encourages his wife to leave, but Lola cannot bear to part with the twins. Even though her husband insists that the children are too old, Lola remains steadfast in her decision. Eventually, Adolfo relents, and the four of them embark on their journey back home. While traveling, they learn that the twins are only familiar with religious songs because of their strict upbringing in the convent. When they reach home, their dog, Cookie, starts barking at the newcomers, creating a sense of unease. Strangely, the twins ask about the walking distance to the convent, commenting on the shortness of the journey. Adolfo estimates that it would be a distance of 6 kilometers if they were to take a route through the woods, but he doesn't think much of the question. They enter the house, and as the twins happily explore their surroundings, Adolfo is pleased to see his wife smile. Later on, Lola finds the twins playing in the nursery that was originally intended for their lost babies. This upsets Lola, and she guides the children to their own room. During the night, the twins show a keen interest in the different objects around the house. Adolfo mentions the Chinese masks, and the twins confess that they have never seen a television before. Before the meal, Tin gives Adolfo a crown of thorns, and Tina places a rosary on Lola as a gesture of gratitude for adopting them. Adolfo prompts the children to start eating, but they insist on saying their prayers first. As their father leads the prayer, Tina notices that Lola is not participating. Afterwards, while Lola is unpacking their clothes, Tin asks why they don't have children. Lola explains to him that it is not possible for her to conceive. However, Tina remains optimistic and says that miracles happen every day, suggesting that it could still be possible for them to have a baby. To avoid further discussion on the topic, Lola changes the subject to the numerous crucifixes they have in their bags. Tina explains that they are meant to keep the exterminating angel from entering their home. Before going to sleep, Lola puts the rosary in her bedside drawer for safekeeping. The next morning, Lola is awakened by the sound of rocks hitting her window. She discovers the twins outside with their slingshots, happily signaling that they have woken their mother. Lola prepares breakfast for herself and the twins. Once again, the children insist on praying before eating, but Lola, who doesn't believe in God, decides not to participate. This prompts Tina to recite Psalm 14 in response. Tina informs Lola that they have a unique way of connecting with God but asks her not to interfere. Lola is taken aback when Tina starts suffocating her brother. Disturbed by this, Lola attempts to intervene, but Tina reminds her of the promise she made not to interfere. Shortly after that, Tin shares that he had asked for a miracle for their mother. Tina recites a verse from the Bible, Matthew 21 verse 22, but Tin mistakenly guesses its origin. This misunderstanding leads to a playful food fight between the twins. At school, the twins endure teasing from a classmate named Pedro, who calls them children of Dracula. When they come back home, Tin asks if they are really children of Dracula, while Tina ponders why they feel different from everyone else. In response, Lola acknowledges that she is also different. She reveals her prosthetic leg to the twins and explains that she lost her leg, as well as her parents, in a fire. That night, As Lola notices the crucifixes, she asks her husband if he put them up. Adolfo denies being the one to hang them but isn't concerned about their presence. Lola comments on the twins' strong religious beliefs, and Adolfo explains that it's typical for children who have been raised by nuns to have such fervent devotion. When her husband suggests that they do God's work and multiply to populate the earth, Lola becomes concerned about the possibility of being seen by others. Instead, she decides to go to the children's room and is surprised to find them still awake. They express their inability to fall asleep and invite her to play a game called Battle of the Angels. At first, Lola assumes it to be similar to hide and seek, but it soon transforms into a lively pillow fight. She enjoys the game until the twins unexpectedly turn off the lights and start suffocating her. Gasping for breath, Lola struggles, and Tin urges her to ask God for a favor. They persist until Adolfo enters the room and interrupts the distressing situation. Shaken by the experience, Lola retreats to the bathroom to compose herself. Following the incident, Lola's husband insists on punishing the twins, but she argues that they simply need time to adapt and adjust. While the twins apologize, Tina notices her mother adding sleeping medicine to her tea. The presence of the children agitates their dog, Cookie, who ends up biting Lola before running away. The next day at school, Pedro and his friends continue to tease the twins. That night, feeling extremely fatigued, the couple decides to allow the twins to watch TV on their own. Later, when they feel the ground shaking from their parents' bedroom, Tina secretly enters and takes the sleeping medicine. The twins mix the sleeping medicine into Cookie's food, causing the dog to fall asleep. They bring the dog inside and, armed with sharp objects, they eagerly cleanse Cookie, reciting Psalm 51 verses 1-2, as a form of punishment for biting Lola. The twins then patiently wait until morning, convinced that their mother will be pleased with their actions. The following morning, Lola awakens to find the twins standing at the foot of the bed. Seeing their disheveled appearance, she assumes they had another messy altercation, but Adolfo quickly realizes that it's blood. Tina then informs them that Cookie isn't waking up. Shocked, the couple investigates and discovers the lifeless dog, while Tin explains that they only intended to cleanse the dog of its sins. Upon hearing Adolfo's revelation that they have caused Cookie's death, the twins hurriedly seek comfort in their father's arms. After tidying up, Lola expresses her concern that the twins might do something harmful to them as well. Adolfo reassures her, explaining that it was a terrible misunderstanding resulting from their sheltered upbringing. He believes that the twins need a mother figure to provide guidance and support. In the middle of the night, Lola wakes up to discover the twins engaging in self-punishment. Concerned, she tends to their injuries and firmly informs them that she does not want any more acts of penance taking place in their home. Their mother, Lola, takes the opportunity to explain to the twins that the Bible should not be interpreted literally, much like fairy tales. However, Tina strongly disagrees, asserting that the Bible is not a fairy tale and confidently believes that her mother will eventually become a believer. During the winter season, Adolfo brings home spinning plates and a cassette as gifts from Santa Claus. Meanwhile, Lola is busy preparing their Christmas dinner. Later, Tina is instructed to sprinkle sugar on the cake, but she accidentally grabs the insecticide instead. Fortunately, Lola notices the mistake just in time and prevents any harm from occurring. Their festive celebrations are abruptly interrupted when Lola suddenly collapses. Rushed to the hospital, Lola receives surprising news from the doctor: she is pregnant. The doctor refers to it as a Christmas miracle. The entire family is overjoyed and filled with delight upon hearing the news. After a while, the twins amuse their mother by putting on a spinning plate performance while she concentrates on her sewing. Once they finish, Tina seizes the opportunity to inquire about her mother's beliefs in God, highlighting the fact that Lola is now pregnant as a potential affirmation of divine intervention. Tin reveals that the miracle he had asked God for has indeed come true. However, Lola maintains her belief that miracles do not occur, while Tina insists that her mother simply chooses not to recognize them. The twins express their desire for their upcoming baby brother not to be a sacrifice like Jesus, merely to save those who do not believe. Their conversation is interrupted when Lola accidentally pricks her finger, bringing the discussion to an end. During their first communion, Pedro insults the twins, but Tina believes that God will deliver justice. Lola later realizes the twins are missing in church, but she discovers they were just playing the organ. During the Eucharist, a disheveled Pedro suddenly bursts through the doors and collapses. That night, Lola confronts the twins, asking if they had any role in what happened to Pedro. Rather than giving a direct answer, the children respond by saying that they will pray for Pedro's recovery. The following day, Pedro's mother reaches out to Lola and shares the distressing news that her son is in a coma. She mentions that other children witnessed the twins being with Pedro during the incident. While the police believe it was an accidental fall, Pedro's mother suspects otherwise. She expresses her anguish, knowing that her son's life hangs in the balance. This revelation deeply troubles Lola, causing her to worry about the safety of her own unborn baby. Lola visits the convent and asks Abbess Asuncion if the twins ever caused trouble due to misinterpreted Bible verses. To Lola's surprise, Abbess Asuncion contradicts her assumptions and states that the twins are not the source of the issue, but rather Lola's quick judgments. Disheartened by this revelation, Lola expresses her regret in visiting the convent. However, Abbess Asuncion believes that Lola's visit was a deliberate guidance from God, suggesting a higher purpose behind their encounter. In response to Lola's anger and frustration over the mention of God, she questions why an all-knowing power would permit the loss of innocent babies. However, the abbess offers comfort to the distraught Lola, suggesting that she may be consumed by darkness and encourages her to seek the light instead. In the middle of the night, Lola wakes up and quietly enters the twins' room. To her surprise, she comes across their Bible, which contains disturbing drawings. One depicts Cookie's tragic fate, while another shows Pedro being attacked with stones while the twins recite verses from Matthew 12 and Samuel 17. Feeling uneasy, Lola carefully returns the Bible to its place, but Tina notices her presence in the room. After discovering the unsettling drawings in the twins' Bible, Lola decides to wait for Adolfo to return home. She intends to show him the evidence, convinced that it is necessary to involve the authorities given the disturbing nature of the drawings. However, when Lola shows Adolfo the disturbing drawings and expresses her concerns about the twins' behavior, he dismisses them as mere venting of frustration. He accuses Lola of holding a grudge over Cookie's death and questions her ability to protect their children. Exhausted and frustrated, Adolfo tears the drawings apart and retreats to bed, leaving the issue unresolved between them. The twins, Tin and Tina, awaken the next morning and realize that their Bible is missing, and the crucifixes have been taken down. Distressed, the twins find their mother packing away their religious items, forbidding them from practicing their faith until they are older. One day, Lola wakes up to discover her hair falling out. She immediately blames the twins, believing that they are somehow punishing her for restricting their religious practices. Adolfo tries to offer alternative explanations such as hormonal changes or stress, but Lola becomes upset with him, feeling that he always takes the twins' side. Feeling guilty about the disturbing drawing, Lola musters the courage to reach out to Pedro's mother to inquire about his condition. However, the conversation is brief and tense, as the woman coldly informs Lola that Pedro has passed away before abruptly ending the call. Lola clings to her husband, pleading for him not to leave, while Adolfo comforts her and promises to stay by her side when she wakes up. As Adolfo gets ready to leave, Tin expresses his concern about their mother's apparent lack of love. Adolfo assures the twins that Lola does love them but is overwhelmed with the pregnancy. He encourages them to show her love and affection, kissing them before he departs. The next morning, Tina gets up early and makes a drink by mixing powder with milk. At the same time, Lola wakes up and realizes she is tied to the bed. Then, Tina tries to make her mother drink the milk forcefully, but Lola refuses to open her mouth. Pretending it's part of a show, Tina hides her artificial leg and tickles her mother, hoping to persuade her to cooperate. Thinking of another way, Tina gets a syringe and fills it with milk to give to their brother. Lola, feeling desperate, tells them that their actions are wrong, but Tina reminds her that religion is not allowed in the house. Just before Tin can inject the milk, their mother successfully breaks free and runs away. In the kitchen, she gets rid of the food, thinking it might be poisoned. Without knowing that Adolfo is there, Lola holds a knife in defense as the twins approach. Adolfo looks at his wife in shock, but suddenly her water breaks. At the hospital, Adolfo scolds Lola for threatening their children with a knife, but Lola insists that she believed they were trying to poison her. Shortly after, their newborn son is brought to them, and the joyful arrival of their baby outweighs the events of the morning. The twins inquire about when their brother will be baptized, but their mother declines, stating that it should be their child's decision to choose a religion when they are older. On a summer day, Adolfo arranges the TV by the pool and starts to unwind. He asks Lola to get him another beer, so she opens the fridge, which is stocked with eggs, and retrieves the drink for him. Meanwhile, the twins quietly enter the house without being noticed. Later, while Lola is cooking, she realizes they have run out of eggs and decides to collect some from outside. Seeing her mother busy, Tina announces their plan to baptize their brother, but Adolfo is too occupied to give it much attention. In response, Tin opens the chest and retrieves their Bible, while Tina takes the baby. After Tina reads Genesis 1 verse 2, Tin proceeds to submerge their baby brother in the pool. Fortunately, Lola arrives just in time to save her son from the situation. Enraged, Adolfo grabs the Bible from the twins and sets it on fire. Shortly afterwards, the twins are sent back to the convent. In the near future, the couple celebrates their son's first month at a restaurant. However, Lola finds it difficult to fully enjoy the occasion as she is preoccupied with thoughts of the twins. Her husband encourages Lola to concentrate on the future with their son instead. Meanwhile, at the convent, the twins get ready for bed and recite Galatians 6 verse 7. The lights are switched off, and a nun stays in the room to keep an eye on them. However, she falls asleep shortly afterward. During their time at the restaurant, Lola announces her intention to seek employment as a seamstress. Adolfo is taken aback and raises concerns about who will take care of their son. Offended, Lola disregards his worries and ignores their baby's cries, wondering why Adolfo cannot soothe him instead. Frustrated, Adolfo loses his temper, causing Lola to comfort their child. As the couple heads home, they come close to colliding with two figures who are difficult to see due to the heavy rain. When Lola gets back home, she sees that the door is open and there are tiny footprints going inside, even though Adolfo said he had closed the door. Adolfo doesn't seem concerned and wants them to watch TV together. While they are watching, Lola gives a subtle indication that she wants to separate by taking off her wedding ring. When the TV loses signal, Adolfo begs his wife to think again and promises to be a better father. However, Lola doesn't respond and stays silent, which makes Adolfo decide to fix the TV. While Adolfo is occupied with the TV, Lola is by herself and decides to put her ring back on. Unusual noises and footsteps can be heard all around the house, and they're accompanied by the cries of their baby. Lola goes upstairs to see how their son is doing but stops halfway, assuming that Adolfo is already taking care of him. The baby's crying stops. When the TV starts functioning again, she calls out to Adolfo to come downstairs. However, the power starts fluctuating, and at the same time, the cassette for the spinning plates unexpectedly starts playing. Thinking that the twins are there, Lola calls out to them. As she turns off the cassette player, the electricity completely goes out, and thunder follows. Lola tries to reset the circuit breaker and calls for her husband, but there's no response. With a flashlight in hand, Lola follows the sound of Adolfo's voice and finds him surrounded by flames, having been electrocuted by the TV antenna. She quickly rushes to his side just in time before he collapses to the ground. As Lola searches anxiously for a blanket to extinguish the flames, Adolfo stumbles into the house and unintentionally sets the living room on fire. In a state of panic, the mother rushes upstairs in search of her baby, but she can't find him anywhere. Feeling desperate, Lola turns to God and uses the twins' method to call out to him, seeking divine help and intervention. While struggling and feeling suffocated, Lola hears her baby crying and eventually locates him in his basket. Summoning her last bit of strength, she carries him to a place of safety. After eventually regaining consciousness in the hospital, Lola is visited by Asuncion, who expresses her condolences for the tragic events. Fortunately, Lola's baby survived. When she asks about the twins, Asuncion reassures her that they were at the convent the whole time, remaining innocent as they have always been. Convinced of the twins' innocence, Lola makes the decision to adopt them once again. In the end, Tina's belief is proven to be true, as Lola undergoes a transformation and becomes a believer in God.